Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Ben Schubert, and today we are talking about editing suites or editing software and which to use. We're looking at DaVinci Resolve, which has a free option, which is super awesome, or you can pay just a little bit and access the full version, or we have Premiere Pro, which is a subscription-based software, which can be quite a bit of money every year. So for work context, right now, all of my work has generally been done in Premiere Pro. As of a couple months ago, I've actually started to transition that and do more and more things in DaVinci Resolve. So after a few months of making that transition, here is a bit of what I've learned. So Premiere Pro, this is the one that's known. This is the champion that everyone uses. This is the common editing suite that most people use, except for maybe Final Cut 10, which I still haven't really tried, but I think I will because it's been making some gains too. So Premiere Pro, let's talk about the one that I've used the most. So the design is fairly intuitive. You essentially have a number of panels that stay where they are for the most part, and then you have a couple different options of doing other things, but you can really access anything from the main editing panels. So you've got your project and your media folders. Essentially everything you bring into your project, you know where it is, you can find it, organize it, you can just drag it and drop it in there if that's what you want to do. You've got your editing timeline, which is fairly straightforward. You can just drag things in from Finder right onto that timeline and it'll all get organized in the media folder, again, if that's the workflow you like. You can do all your graphics, color correcting, sound stuff, basically all from that main area, so you don't have to go out and do other things. But that being said, you're pretty limited in what you can actually achieve and accomplish within Premiere Pro. You can basically do everything, but the fine detail elements aren't necessarily there, right? You do have to go to other programs if you want to access different things, right? So the nice thing about the Adobe Subscription, it comes with a number of things. There's Audition, there's After Effects, there's Photoshop, Lightroom, and they all integrate pretty seamlessly. So if you're needing to do work in all those different programs between Photoshop and Lightroom and After Effects and Audition, then you kind of need that subscription, right? And if you're doing really intensive work that's going to take advantage of that, then it makes total sense. Now, DaVinci Resolve, on the other hand, that is primarily a color grading platform, right? It was originally intended for color grading, for doing feature films, for doing TV shows, to make things look great. The editing features that they've added on have been added on just in the last couple of years, and it's fairly new and they're still kind of working the kinks out. But that being said, they have made some huge progress in that area. That software is super functional, and its ability to use GPUs is way stronger than what Premiere's is now. And their rendering speeds, the way they decode files, it's all just so much smoother. There's things I can do in DaVinci Resolve that I just can't do in Premiere. And I think that's largely a mix between the way it handles files and your system's, utilities, things like your RAM, GPU, CPU. I think DaVinci Resolve does a way better job of that. Now, in terms of the user interface with DaVinci Resolve, it's a little different in that there's different pages for different parts of it, and you've got to navigate between those pages if you want to use different things, right? So there's a cut page, which is kind of a quick assembly page. I never really use it, but it's there. There's the edit page where you can do all your editing, all your organizing, all your managing. There's a media page where you organize all your media, your bins, everything. It all has to be done there. You can access it from the edit page. You can drag things in, but it isn't always easy to access it while you're editing. Now you can pull things out of the media page onto your timeline while you're in the edit page, but getting media into it and organizing it is not as easy as being on the media page. So you kind of have to flip between all these different pages. There's a color grading page, which is super powerful. There's lots that you can do to make your films just like beautiful. And then there's the actual sound design page of the Fairlight Audio Suite, which is awesome. It is just like the color suite, except specifically just for audio. And the amount you can actually work on your audio in that area is amazing. It's like having Audition and a dedicated color suite just in Premiere, which is something that Premiere does not really have. You can do things in that space, but it's just not the same. Now, one thing that is definitely a benefit for DaVinci Resolve is in their media page, they actually have a clone tool, which is really great for cloning drives to places. So if you're bringing in footage from a card, you can clone that card onto a folder in several hard drives at the same time. So that way you're making sure that you're actually making the same copy. It's a really great tool. Highly recommend it. Even if you're not going to be editing in DaVinci Resolve, it's really great for just like organizing and having that assurance that you're, going through the right protocols. Really good. It's a lot more secure than just copying and pasting, which a simple undo can delete everything. So highly recommend it instead of using Finder for copying your footage. Okay, so pros for Premiere Pro pros, the ability to use After Effects, Audition, Photoshop, all of that different software just integrates really nicely and it's easy to use all of it together. The next is templates. There are just so many templates for Premiere Pro and After Effects that if you're wanting to use templates for things, for animations, titles, that sort of thing, there's a ton out there. You can access so much. There isn't as much for DaVinci Resolve. There's definitely some, but there's just way more people producing for Premiere Pro because there's more people using Premiere Pro. Maybe that'll change at some point, but for now, more things are being done for Premiere. And now lastly, one of the big things that has really gotten me to stick with Premiere and not just dump it entirely is just organization. It's really easy to organize files and work on multiple timelines in a single project. I just finished doing a giant project that took months to do. We did tons of videos and I did most of it with Premiere. If there's some fancy projects that I wanted to really work on the color grading, I did those in DaVinci Resolve, but 90% of it happened in Premiere, and that was because of the ability to organize multiple files and projects and, essentially multiple timelines in bins and access them and work on them, simultaneously or back to back. That's way easier to do in Premiere Pro. You can do it in DaVinci Resolve, but it's just not as easy. Now that's Premiere Pro. It's good, it's great, but DaVinci Resolve is the interesting one here because there is a free version, and that free version has access to 80% of the software. Now with the free version, there's not a lot that you're actually missing. It's mostly things like being able to watch full screen on a second monitor, noise reduction, certain resolutions you can't access over UHD. Then there's just a few things here and there that are kind of annoying when you run into them, but are generally fine. I've been running off the free version. I think I might actually just go on it and pay for the full version because there are things that I want to access, but the free version is totally great. I've done full projects. I've made money off that free version. It's awesome. Color grading in DaVinci Resolve is the best. I've used a number of different color grading softwares, starting with Color, Speed Grade, and then some other things. I used to use DaVinci Resolve just for color grading, so I'd bring in projects from Premiere into DaVinci Resolve and grade there, and then bring it back. Now with the ability to actually do full edits in DaVinci Resolve, and the audio too, is just great. It can definitely be overwhelming at first, but once you dig into it, it's really amazing all the stuff that you can do, and it's just way more powerful than Lumetri. So I highly recommend it. Even if you're just going to be doing color grading, you just export an XML from Premiere, import it into DaVinci Resolve, brings all your files, double check it, and then you can grade it and then export it, bring it back to Premiere. It's a great round trip. It's awesome. GPU acceleration is way better in DaVinci Resolve. I can watch footage in DaVinci Resolve that just will not play in Premiere. So my raw C200 footage, so this footage here, is unplayable in Premiere Pro, on my system anyways. But in DaVinci Resolve, it's so smooth, right? I have no issues with it. So that's like where the big trade-off is. And just the performance in DaVinci Resolve is just so much better. So I'm really tempted to go fully DaVinci Resolve just so I don't have to deal with Premiere. So all this to say, who are these for and which should you get depends on what your needs are, right? I would say if you're doing one-off high-end content, right? Videos, films, short films, music videos, things that you want to look great, and you're wanting to work on this project in a way that gets the most out of it, but you're only doing kind of 1 or 2 projects at a time, then DaVinci Resolve is hands down the winner. I would not even look at Premiere Pro. It's just not worth your time. But I would say if you are working on big projects that have a lot of different outputs, and you know, maybe it's like a ton of footage and you need to like make a ton of videos out of it, you need to organize all that footage, you need to go into After Effects to do animations. If you need like a high level of integration between a lot of software and the ability to collaborate with other people really easily, then Premiere Pro, you know, the Adobe suite is definitely the route you want to take. So if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you have a preference as to which editing suite you prefer or are leaning to or have questions about, leave it down in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, talk to you later. See ya.